Hey there, it's Andre, the Impulsive Thinker, and today I have Peter Shankman. He's an author, entrepreneur, and a futurist in resident at Price Benowitz and Blue Shark Digital. Also, the author of Faster Than Normal book, which was transformational for myself and a lot to you readers. Also, the podcast host of Faster Than Normal. And also, recently you published The Boy with a Faster Brain, which I thought was really cool. I know we're going to talk about something else. Can you just give a little, why did you write the book, The Boy with a Faster Brain, and where can we find it? And why'd you do that one? That was really cool.
So it's available everywhere. I mean, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books, it's available everywhere. The reason I did it was because I am hoping to make it easier for kids to realize at an earlier age that having ADHD does not mean they're broken. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, ADHD didn't exist. What existed was sit down, you're disrupting the class disease. And it was very difficult for me to sort of have any kind of normalcy in school.
Mhm.
It was very, very hard. It was very tough to pay attention, to do all those things, and it used to get me into a lot of trouble. I'd crack a joke because that would give me a brief hit of dopamine. The class would laugh, but then I'd get in trouble. I'd say at the principal's office, so I never actually was able to, I'd get the dopamine, but I never actually get to use it. So it was sort of one of those things where I realized if I can, when Fast and Normal came out, everyone said write a kid's book. I forgot about it for like 5 years, and then over time I realized maybe there's something I can do here. So I wrote it last February. It came out last March. It's my first self-published book. I actually wanted to go to Random House to publish it, and who published Faster Than Normal, and they told me that I wasn't allowed to. I said, why not? And they said, well, we're not going to publish it because Fast and Normal is still selling really well. It continues to be in the top 50 in psychology on Amazon. And if you write a kid's book, it's going to screw up the algorithm. I said, so you're punishing me for doing well? And they go, yep. I go, okay. So I'm going to self-publish. And that's exactly what I did. And what's actually wound up happening by self-publishing is it's actually, I've gotten Fast and Normal is actually sold a lot better because Amazon is recommending it.
Right. Yeah. So it's funny because I was just talking to a bunch of people. It's been a common theme the last few weeks on some other episodes of guests on my podcast and me being guests on others is we always seem to get in trouble for getting the results everyone wants, but how we do it always, that's what we get in trouble for.
I always used to get busted for that exact same thing. I used to get busted all the time for getting in trouble. I get in trouble for doing things my way. They worked.
You got the results they wanted.
Exactly. But I never did it the right way. It's the classic example of show your work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No one ever liked it when I showed my work because my work was always a little crazy.
The one thing I did do, Peter, with that book, The Boy with a Faster Brain, was I did gift it to two sets of parents.
Awesome.
One boy said, yeah, that's me. I get it. And the other boy actually went, oh, I know someone in my class. So the kid actually gifted that to the kid. And I think that went somewhere with them too. So your book, Faster Than Normal, communicated to adults, teenagers very well, I would believe. But now The Boy with a Faster Brain, which is it's a picture book.
Yep.
Very well done. And it's now you're communicating that to the younger generation and kids in a language that they can understand. So good on you. And it was definitely needed. You're bringing, I think you validate a lot of those kids. Oh, it's on the book, well, right?
I think that's the key, because, think about it. They've just gotten diagnosed. All their parents hear is that there's something wrong with them. Right. And what I'm saying is that, no, there's not. It just means you have different cognitive abilities than everyone else. That's not a curse. That's a gift. You just have to understand how to use it. And so I think that when kids and parents see that there are benefits and there are ways to learn about sort of a different brain, all that thing, I think that helps them because all they've been told up to that point is your son is different. He just got diagnosed. He might need medicine, whatever. And so, and look, I'm not anti-med. I think that there's a middle ground. So,
and I agree with that because
parents don't have to automatically assume their kid is broken.
Right. And just because it doesn't look the same as everyone else, therefore you're a bad parent, or this conformity concept and disease that we have in this Facebook life definitely screws that image up. And like for me, like with the ADHD structure that I've created, and I help with the listeners and my clients, is it's all about environment control. If you're in the right environment, you're going to succeed. If you're in the bad environment, they're going to crap on you and make you not succeed. So yeah.
100%.
So if the parents can switch the environment to be supportive and support everyone's talents and strengths differently and value them, I don't care. You can respect people's talents and strengths, but not value them and still be a hindrance. But as long as we value these differences, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen schools start to understand this a little better. I've seen schools start to work with kids and help them grow and give them neurodiversity spaces, places where they can actually go and take 5 minutes and go and touch a surface or do jumping jacks or whatever, to give them what they need. And it doesn't mean they're broken. It doesn't mean they're looked down on. It just means they think differently.
So you did something with the school kids. You're starting to see a change in the school system, primarily in the United States where you're based out of. And yes, on the Canada side, we're starting to see that. And based on other people in the UK and Australia, that trend is starting to occur. But what about the workplace? You're the kind of guy that says you see a problem, you're going to try and solve it. So what about the workplace right now?
Oh, good timing. That's exactly what I've been doing. So I created a company, launched it about 3 months ago with a good friend of mine, who's a doctor. And it's called Mental Capital. And the premise behind Mental Capital is that companies that understand that tackling corporate challenges using a wider range of cognitive talents tend to succeed more than those who don't, is an amazing experience and incredibly beneficial for the company. So the company that I've launched is helping to teach companies how to attract, hire, and retain neurodiverse employees, as well as creating neurodiverse and neuro-inclusive workspaces. So the premise that a rising tide raises all boats, you have a, if you offer a pair of noise canceling headphones to someone who's neurodiverse, why wouldn't you offer it to everyone? Right. Giving everyone the ability to benefit from that. And so we're teaching how companies can do this. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but the benefits are massive. I worked with Google. Google has a phenomenal program where they are, when I went to speak at Google, I was blown away by this. I went to speak and I was waiting to go on stage, and someone comes over to me with a big box of, I guess, essentially goodies, everything from sunglasses in case the lighting on the stage were too bright, to fidget spinners, to grippers, anything I needed, saying, hey, if you need any of this, feel free to take it. We keep it on hand for all our speakers. That blew my mind. Right? I mean, how cool is that they're even thinking that far ahead? So they have decompression rooms where you can go and you're working at Google. You could just go into this room. It's silent. It could be black. It could be almost like a sensory depth tank. Really amazing thing. So it's, what is that? Where's the benefit there? It's massive. It is massive because not only is it great for the employees they currently have, but then they become known as a neurodiverse friendly, a neuro-inclusive company. And that word gets out and everyone wants to work there.
Okay. The other thing I heard there, Peter, was that you're not only like neurodiversity is a focus of this company, but what you just described to me is not only for neurodiverse, it's also for everyone else. Identifying their unique way everyone works, how they work differently, and try to support that so they can get more of a benefit and more enjoyment out of their work.
I think that post-COVID, smart companies are starting to understand that mental health can't just be, hey, let's have a Hawaiian shirt day.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's doing tremendous benefit. But now they're starting to understand that, to let people and employees know that they can focus on their mental health and they're not going to be ostracized for it. They're not going to be fired for it. There is a benefit to doing it.
Which ultimately happy staff, productive work.
Oh, absolutely.
Bigger bank account.
Right? Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's funny. It's it's one of those things where you want to companies inherently want to do the right thing, but when you attach the benefit of increased profits or increased revenue to the right thing, all of a sudden they're really about doing the right thing. And so that's huge, because there is a tremendous benefit, both from a hiring perspective as well as a financial perspective, to get neurodiverse people. I worked on a project with the Rand Corporation, where they did a study. They looked at national security in the United States, and they said that basically if national security agencies in the US do not start hiring neurodiverse and making it easier for them to work there, they are going to become even less the strongest country in the world than we currently are. The reason being that neurodiverse people see things differently. They see patterns differently. Israel, for instance, the Mossad has and the IDF has an entire division made up of nothing but neurodiverse spies and intelligence officers, because they see things completely different.
Right. Yeah. So with this new company, what are you trying to actually, sorry, let me go back. You said something about companies inherently want to do the right thing, but in the past they would fail at that, and usually has to come down to the bottom line because they don't see the benefits that's not in front of them, because there's no real clear formula. By making a person happy at work will 2 times, 3 times the production.
Yep.
Is it a recent mind shift that people are starting to see, maybe a little, and I want to do the right thing, but I might have to have a leap of faith here that it will work based on not known facts or data?
I think it's both. I think a lot of it is that companies are finally being allowed to do the right thing. Management and things like that are finally saying that, hey, it is okay to start being all right and start treating employees like they're human beings and not just products, and not just a tool in your car or in your wheelhouse. It's been very difficult to do that. We haven't prioritized any form of mental health ever. You look at work in the last 12,000 years, 1,200 years. This is really the first ever that we're doing this.
What do you mean by allowed? They're allowed to now.
It was never about that. It was either about suck it up and you're not supposed to have fun at work. It's work. Have fun when you're home, or take care of yourself at home. Come to work and do it all. The weak got eliminated. Right. And we're finally starting to understand that there's a benefit to allowing mental health day or a stress room or whatever, because it creates better employees, and better employees produce better for the company.
Right. And for me,
it's taken years for companies to start to understand that.
Yeah.
But they're finally getting there. I think they're finally starting to get it.
Yeah, because for me, 10 years ago, when I started implementing various assessments to identify the talents my team had, I was told, you're an oddball, you shouldn't be doing this. But I was able to communicate to those talents and strengths and get them to, it was easier delegation, because if I tickled their strengths or their subconscious motivators, and just being able to communicate that differently, like everyone on my team requires a strict system to follow. I don't, right? That would mess up communication and projects. So understanding how everyone's uniqueness and how they do things just opens up better communication, better collaborations, and everyone has various strengths that's required at different parts of a project. I'm great at the beginning. Keep me out.
Right. Exactly.
Keep me out, because I don't want to get it done. I'm tired of it. I've lost interest, or I keep changing the path that things it messes up my system, my team and their system.
100%.
And then call me when there's a problem. That's it. Right.
Absolutely.
So do you have a mission or goal with mental capital?
I think it's to really help change companies' perspective on neurodiversity, and to change people's perspective, because if kids are finally starting to understand that they're not broken in school, they're going to come out of school and be much more not demanding, but have a much stronger idea of what their worth is. And they're going to look for companies. They're going to look for companies that value that as well.
Right. Right. And
so
advocate for themselves.
To understand that now, in 5 years, they'll be labeled as the best, and they'll be able to hire without a problem.
Right. So I really like what you said there, because that gives them a vocabulary in order for them to advocate for themselves. And if kids can learn that at a young age and
Absolutely.
communicate that to their teachers, to their parents, or to their coaches, like my
Imagine
youngest,
when the kids,
she understands.
change.
Yeah.
No, I was saying, imagine when the kids change from realizing that, from thinking, hey, I'm broken, to hey, I'm gifted. Their confidence level goes through the roof.
Yeah, because my oldest, when she doesn't have enough information and the process wasn't provided enough for the project, I ask her, just go and talk to them. I need more information. I need a better idea of what you're looking for and what's the process.
Yep.
Right. And then she's getting the information she needed rather than just being planted out there or hope to hell that she gets it right. And depends on the mark after. And that's a success fail. Right. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong?
You got it. Yeah.
So, mental capital. I really like this. Do you guys have a website yet, or where?
Not yet. We're literally just building. We haven't had time to do any of that because we've already landed 3 huge clients. So it's kind of like, it's the fisherman's children. We're on our way to do all that, but yeah, we're kind of working on. We have our first. We have a huge presentation next week, so we're currently working on that. So it's going to get done. Hopefully over the holidays we'll get everything done.
I love that. You sold the tickets before the show was made.
Absolutely.
But I think you had the vision and insight to move this forward. It's not like you just had a whim and then half-ass go the presentation. This has been percolating for a long time, has it not? Because you're doing a lot of presentations in neurodiversity, sales, marketing, and advocating for yourself. That this 4 letters ADHD is not like I say, it's not a medical condition, it's a societal condition. And the way you're communicating that as a positive is making people rethink. So how long has them percolating? Is this kind of like a long lost purpose that just kind of seems to coalesce at the right time?
I think when I sold Fast and Normal, I spent a couple of years trying to figure out how come I could do something like start a company and 3 years later sell it for several $1 million, but couldn't, make my marriage work or things like that. And I realized, at that point I had gotten diagnosed, but never really put 2 and 2 together. I figured, okay, yeah, I have ADHD. That makes sense. And I really started doing the homework and figuring out why certain things that I do, why I do them, how I could prevent maybe not do them, how I work this way and that way. And it really sort of blew up from there. And that really taught me a lot. And more importantly, I saw, when you look at it with different eyes, you start to see how invisible people with neurodiversity are, because it's that the old adage of, well, you don't look sick. You don't look sick, and you're not coming into an office and shooting everyone up, so you must not have any mental issues at all. But there's a lot of things there that just because they're not seen. I mean, I can tell you in 5 seconds, looking at someone, if they have ADHD or not. Talk to them for 5 seconds, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I call it ADHD DAR. But the at the end of the day, if you're not getting the best out of your employees, wouldn't you want to? Making everyone do the same thing just because that's the way it's always been done is a guaranteed way to fail.
Yeah, and that's exactly the norm. We have to change people's thinking. Not everyone's wired the same and doing the same. Like, we just got to put that out there. Hey, how does it, like, neurodiverse or non-neurodiverse, everyone does everything uniquely and differently, right? Just give them the start point, the information, and the end result you want. Let them figure out the path on their own.
Yep.
And let them be allowed to do that. And that's still a common misconception with a lot of leaders, even entrepreneurs out there. My way is a highway. Could be because of past trauma or past systems that you created that's blocking that. But yeah, I like how you
taught me a lot about this. In the last 15 years, I've learned a ton about this from my assistant, Megan, because she's basically made it clear that it's her way or the highway. Because if I want her to keep working for me, I have to do the right things, because otherwise I am not going to survive, because she's going to leave. Right. She knows I'm not allowed to book dinners because I do them wrong. Right. I booked them on the wrong continent or whatever. So she requires me to do things her way. And that has been a wonderful lesson because it works.
But that's different than what I was explaining. It's not like a boss telling you exactly how to work.
No, exactly. It is the opposite thing. But
Megan's case is your weakness is planning an organization, just like me. You're given that power and authority to Megan to say, now it's my way. So that's her strength and ability. Yours is not. Just like me and Sarah, I want to start asking permission to book stuff because I make the calendar a cluster.
Bosses can learn the same thing, and they can learn that it is better to I like employees who know their job and who are comfortable with me stepping out of the way and letting them do that.
Mhm.
I'm happy to answer questions. I'm always happy to brainstorm and revise on new ideas. But at the end of the day, my job is to hire good people and let them do what they're great at.
Right. And I think this is a really good lesson that leaders who are listening, any type of leader, especially entrepreneurs, is it's okay as a leader or an owner of a company to identify what you suck at,
Exactly.
own it, hire the right people, and tell your team, I suck at that. Don't rely on me on that.
Well, when the only job I ever had, I worked in America Online. And when I worked at AOL, one of the things that amazed me about them was they didn't care how we worked as long as we got the job done. And I thought, this is my first job out of college. So I'm thinking, wow, the workforce is amazing. Everything's like this. Well, it turns out it's not. And that's why it was my only job. But,
Right.
yeah, that's why I went on my own afterwards. But to understand that they taught me such a valuable gift there, because letting my employees do the work the way they want to do it, everyone wins. Everyone wins.
Cool. Congratulations on Mental Capital. And thank you very much for the boy with a faster brain, because we're hitting the right people at the right time early.
Yeah.
We all have this regret. It would have been cool earlier, but I think your background and my background, both of our struggles and journey it's made us who we are. So we're able to help people now.
Well, that's the key, right? So even if it meant, if what I went through meant that now I can help other people and not have to go through that, then that to me was worth it.
Exactly. And I want the listeners to there's a few things that Peter really said, and I really like this, and I'm going to start using this phraseology, but cognitive abilities. Okay. He wasn't saying it's ADHD or autism or just neurodiverse. Everyone has different cognitive abilities, and neurodiverse people have a completely different set of cognitive abilities, which is brain wiring, brain
100%.
setup. So if we're looking at it from cognitive abilities, then we're taking out the emotion, we're taking out the person, and just starting to look at how do you process information? How do you see it? I think that's a really great reframe. I also like the fact that you said companies are now allowed to treat employees as people, not cogs in the wheel. And I think that is a big transformation. And I like how you were able to communicate that effectively, because I think that's the first time I actually heard it properly. I just hear it is, but not the why. I'm a big why person. And it is very true. Neurodiverse people are still, quote unquote, invisible because it's not out there. I think it's a couple things. I don't know what you think about this, Peter, but I think one is I think people are still masking, playing a character so they can fit in versus, and then the other one is not communicating that because there's still a little bit of a negative stigmatism. No, that's an eye condition. Stigma, sorry, about, admitting that you have a condition, or again, I'm using the term condition because medically, we need those terms so people can get accommodations and kids to get help. I don't think it's a condition. It's just a different way of seeing the world and doing things. So there's still a negative stigma about it. Even anxiety, depression, bipolar, alcoholism, or substance use disorder. We just need to talk about it and not be afraid to do it. Because the world's a lot more accepting now, I think, over the last 4 or 5 years about these differences. And I really commend you on starting Mental Capital, because it's definitely something that's needed. And you can, I don't know, man, you really, I don't want to get your ego too high here, but you do have a very effective way to communicate succinctly, directly to the point, with no bullshit, that it just hits people the right way. And they don't take the bluntness as a reason to dismiss what you're saying, because it's very clear and concise, logical, and hard to argue with.
Thank you.
So
I'm
going to put in the show notes links to Boy with a Faster Brain, and also Faster Than Normal, and also your podcast. It's very great. I've been on it. And I think you're always looking for people who want to share their ADHD story. So I'll put that link there as well. And any last words of wisdom, Mr. Shankman?
I think that at the end of the day, we're all different, and we need to celebrate those differences regardless of what they are.
I can't finish any better than that. So to you, the listeners, what do you suck at? And can you own it and have your team know about it and have your team help you with it, because you'll be surprised with the results. Peter, thanks again.
My pleasure, man.
And to you, the listeners, thanks again for putting up with me and listening to me again, and we'll talk to you soon.